Hi, and welcome to Terry Talks Movies Science Fiction Saturday again. And I'm doing deep cut this time. 1950s, 1960s science fiction and fantasy films. 7 of them in a release that is not available in Australia. And they're very niche in their genre. It is from Shout Studios, the classic Tokusatsu collection, which is a limited release of 2,500 copies from Shout Factory, essentially. This one, it was a journey just to get the damn thing. For a start, they're only selling it on their website. For a second thing, they're only selling it to people in the United States and Canada. I do not live in the United States or Canada. So I bemoaned on Facebook that I couldn't get this because it's only for sale on the website. It's only for sale in the United States and Canada. I couldn't get it through Amazon or anything like that. It was locked down for me. And then a friend of mine, Kerry, who lives in Colorado, she contacted me on Facebook and saying, if you want to send it to me, I'll mail it on to you. And I thought about it for a week and I went, okay. So I ordered it, got free postage to Colorado. She then put it in a mailing envelope and sent it to me here in Australia. So this is a well-travelled little bugger. And it's got 7 movies, all in Japanese, all but one of them subtitled rather than dubbed. And all of them are by Toei Studios, kind of a slightly lesser studio in Japan at the time. It wasn't as big as Toho. It was bigger than Daiei. Toei did a lot of Tokusatsu movies. Now, I'm going to explain Tokusatsu for those who came in late. The term Tokusatsu means special photography, and Tokusatsu movies are special effects movies at their very core. But Tokusatsu is a very specialized genre, and most of these ones are movies that were essentially made for children. They're not grown-up movies, and I kind of was on board for that. Watching them, I really got in the groove of tapping into my younger self and just enjoying them at the level of a child. Now, I'm going to give you a brief view of the back. There are all of the movies, and I've seen all but 2 of them. One I watched part of, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them I've seen. Great original cover art there. I like that. It's got a whole bunch of the different heroes. It's got a few of the villains. It's got a giant toad. What more do you need? Inside, pretty much the same thing on the slipcover. And if you go inside the inside, there's a whole bunch of the art there. It's on 4 discs, one of which just slipped out. And they're a lot of fun. I'm really glad I got this set. It cost me a bit. In fact, it cost me a little bit more than a bit. But I'm into this kind of cinema, and they're a lot of fun. Now, the first one is Prince of Space from 1959. And Prince of Space turned up a lot on things like Mystery Science Theater 3000, where people made fun of it. Prince of Space is a kaijin. He is a hero who comes to protect the Earth from an alien invasion. In this case, Ambassador Phantom of the Silver Planet, who has a big beaky nose. In the English dubbed version, he's called Dictator Phantom of the Planet Krankor. But in the version I've got, it's Ambassador Phantom of the Silver Planet. Now, the focus of the movie is a bunch of kids who work a shoeshine business under a guy called Waku, who has kind of adopted these homeless kids. And the kids and Waku are interested in astronomy. What they don't know is that Waku is actually the Prince of Space, who's here on Earth to protect the Earth from Ambassador Phantom and the Silver Planet. But it's pretty much a very kid-oriented story, but it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of jumping around and almost like wuxia action with punches and kicks between the good guys and the bad guys. There's ray guns. Which zaps anybody who comes near it. And a lot of it's shot on location to make it very cheap, so they find old industrial areas or just plain old fields in which to film a lot of this stuff. And of the 3 movies in this collection, which have that sort of plot line, it's probably the least of them. It was the earliest as well. It was based on a TV series that Toei did. In fact, a lot of these were based on TV series, and then a movie was made from them and put out into the cinema market. But it's in wonderful, glorious black and white, and it was a nice entry point for me to get into the headspace of enjoying these movies as I would have as a kid. And that one came out in 1959. And from there we go into Invasion of the Neptune Men from 1961. And it stars the wonderful Sonny Chiba, who later turned up in things like Street Fighter and also Kill Bill. Love Sonny Chiba. Fantastic actor, fantastic presence in cinema. And this is very early in Sonny Chiba's career. He plays a character called Iron Sharp, who is the kaijin hero of the piece, who is a terrestrial guy, but he's a scientist. He also has a car that can fly in space and some ray guns and things like that. So he's very much that kind of hero. The design of the Neptune Men is pretty cool, the kind of bullet-shaped heads with the little rotating things on the top of them. That was a little bit, I think, to the design of Robbie the Robot, but they're kind of cool. You can tell which one's the boss because he's got a ring around his head helmet thing. It's got his tongue slightly in his cheek. Sonny Chiba is a lot of fun playing the dual role. There's some great use of locations. There's some really good special effects work for the spaceships. The special effects work in general in these Toei movies is pretty damn good for the time. In fact, this is the kind of stuff that inspired Kubrick to make 2001. He was watching Tokusatsu movies and seeing how good some of the special effects were, particularly in the colour ones, which came up a little bit later. But the Invasion of the Neptune Men doesn't deserve the disrespect it got from Mystery Science Theatre because it's a good, honest kids' movie. The kids are the focus of it. You've got a nice little ensemble of 6 kids who run around and seem to get into places. There's a first contact situation in a field in Japan, and the authorities are there, but also you've got 6 kids just running around the place as well. You've got to love that kind of stuff. It makes no sense at all from a logistical or a security point of view. But the kids are there, and along with Iron Sharp, the hero, who in the English language version was called something else. What was he called? Space Chief. I like Iron Sharp as a name. It's a name that kids give the hero. So it's got that little bit of a vibe of, it sounds like something that a kid would make up. And I'm fully on board for that. And in his secret identity as the scientist Shinichi Takebana, Iron Sharp finds an electronic shield that he puts around various cities in the Earth to stop the Neptune Men from invading. In his wonderful cartoon spaceship, he also zaps down some of the smaller ships that the Neptune Men have and gives the Japanese government the ability to fire nuclear missiles at the mothership. But there are some really, really good special effects shots of the destruction of various parts of Tokyo. I believe some of the effects shots were kind of borrowed from an earlier movie, but they work well in context. And they are at least equal to some of the effect shots you got in Toho's Godzilla movies. Particularly the buildings seem to have a really complex structure to them. They're not just facades that fall apart. They have an internal structure, which I really appreciate. I think that attention to detail really adds to the watchability of the movie and the fun of those destruction sequences. And the designs of the spaceships are very, very funky. The mothership for the Neptune Men is really cool looking, and they made a 6-foot tall model of it, which gives it that sense of size a lot better than a much smaller model would have. And it's got things like retracting legs, and it doesn't look like spaceships that you would see in pretty much any other movie. Really like that one. Like all of these, it's not a long movie. It runs 75 minutes, but it packs a lot into that time. And seeing Sonny Chiba in a very early role was kind of interesting as well. And seeing Sonny Chiba in an early movie was very interesting as well. The third kaijin movie we've got in the box set is called, in some markets, Golden Ninja, which is a shit name for it. The original name is Ogun Batto, which is Japanese for Golden Bat. And Golden Bat is a hero who predates Superman or Batman. In fact, Golden Bat started out in 1930, 8 years before Superman, 9 years before Batman, and was in a format which wasn't a movie, wasn't television. It was a thing called Kamishibai, which is a paper play. Japanese street theatres and storytellers would have little frames with illustrated boards, and they would narrate the story, and the little boards that they had on slot that slid in and out of a frame were the visuals for the story. So they'd have a street storyteller who would tell the story of Ogun Batto, and they would then slide in and out various still pictures with sometimes text telling the story. It's a very old Japanese way of storytelling. It started out in the 8th century in Buddhist temples and then became a secular performance, particularly during the Great Depression. And Ogun Batto started out like that. And we got the movie in 1966, the same year, where there was a colour television anime series called Ogun Batto, which was also broadcast in a dub version here in Australia at around the same time. And Golden Bat was kind of creepy because the protagonist is creepy. He's a mummy with a skull face and a wand and superpowers and a cape. And he is basically there to protect the Earth from alien invasion and has been for thousands of years. And in the movie we get the same format. A team of scientists find a temple as an alien invasion is taking place, and they find the golden bat in a sarcophagus. A young girl puts water on its chest because there's a message with golden bat saying, "Put water on me and I will save the world." And indeed he does. And he has a particular link to this young girl who resurrects him. He gives her a brooch with a golden bat on it and tells her to call him whenever she needs to. And so the alien is led by a guy called Nazo, who have a drill-shaped ship. They sent the asteroid Icarus towards the Earth and is going to destroy the Earth unless the scientists can create a way to stop it. A group of scientists, including Dr. Yamanote, played by Sonny Chiba, with a beard and a turtleneck shirt, are creating a ray gun to destroy the planet Icarus before it collides with the Earth. And they need to find a special mineral. So they go to an island which they don't know until afterwards is Atlantis. They find the temple with Ogun Batto in it. They resurrect Ogun Batto and he gives them a mineral which will shape the lens for the laser beam they need to zap the planet with so that it doesn't destroy the Earth. Nazo has 3 agents called Viper, Piranha and Jackal that he sends to the Institute to grab the lens and grab the ray gun. And so there's lots of fighting in basically office buildings. And you get the usual battle for Earth with the crazy aliens and their shape-shifting minions. And it's a lot of fun. It moves at a very fast pace. Ogun Batto is a weird kind of hero. The mask doesn't move and he pretty much laughs at everything. He's got a very creepy laugh. And so he jumps around, he zaps things. And the young girl called Naomi has the ability to call Ogun Batto when he is needed. Between Ogun Batto and the people at the Pearl Institute who have created the ray gun, they manage to defeat Nazo and his people, and there's a big battle to save the Earth. Even though this one's in black and white, it's got a nice vibe to it. It's got that weird protagonist who is a kind of ghost. And by the way, the origin of the name Golden Bat is kind of interesting. And I don't think there's ever been another hero in a movie or an anime or a manga who got named for a brand of cigarettes, but Golden Bat was named after a brand of cigarettes that were for sale in Japan in the 1930s. It was a very different time. Sonny Chiba was really cool as Captain Yamanote. He's gained a bit of muscle bulk since the earlier film we see him in. And the supporting cast is pretty cool as well. It's in black and white, and this is the last of the black and white ones we get in the box set. We then move on to some other films, but what I'm going to do is talk about the other Sonny Chiba movie in the set before I get on to the other films, some of which are pretty damn cool. The other Sonny Chiba movie is from 1966, like Golden Bat, but it's in colour. It's called Terror Beneath the Sea, and it is a weird piece of work. It again has the unusual people in it. In fact, what it has is an underwater base run by a madman who is creating water cyborgs. In fact, one of the names for the movie was Water Cyborg, which are basically people who have been mutated by a scientific process to be able to live underwater. They've got claws, they're very strong, they look freaky as hell, they're totally genderless, and they are the minions of a bad guy who wants to conquer the Earth, because of course they are. In this one, Sonny Chiba plays a reporter called Ken Abe, who has a girlfriend called Jenny, played by Peggy Neal. And it's interesting because the romantic leads are a Japanese male and a blonde American female, which was kind of unusual at the time. They attend a missile test and stumble upon an image of a mysterious swimming creature with a human silhouette. Because they're scuba divers, they investigate the area and find an underwater cave which leads to a secret base run by a guy called Professor Moore, who is a total madman who is creating these underwater cyborgs. Meanwhile, the American military gets involved. One of their submarines goes up against the professor and comes off quite badly for it. This one gives us some interesting stuff, apart from the groovy sets, which are very, very 1960s, particularly for the underwater base. We get to see the process of people being turned into water cyborgs in detail. There's a little bit of time lapse and a little bit of kind of dissolve between various applications of makeup, but the body horror is kind of icky in this one. And you see a kind of crust form over people's skins as they progressively go through these processes of becoming the water cyborgs. There's a process where their lungs are replaced by kind of lung-gill combinations, and their body heals up over these, and they're permanently turned into these freaky, icky-looking cyborgs. It's a mad movie. It never got a release in America. It was released on some TV channels, but it never got a theatrical release. And this is the only movie in the box set that has a dubbed version on it. It doesn't have the subtitles. And it's got a really weird and wonderful feel about it. I just kind of rocked with this one. You got weird water cyborgs with spear guns. You've got odd little pistols. You've got weird machinery. You've got little badges that seem to work on Bluetooth for opening and shutting doors on the secret base, which was very, very advanced for the time. And of course, you've got Sonny Chiba doing really solid action and really leaning into the silly process of this movie. The special effects are quite good in it. The set designs and interiors and just the way the action is paced by the director, a guy called Hajime Sato, is really great fun. If I had seen this movie on a double bill on a Saturday matinee when I was a kid, I would have loved it. And that was the headspace I put myself into to watch this one. I've seen it before, but it hasn't had a physical media release that I know of, and particularly a Blu-ray release. And it's a nice, crisp transfer. It's not 4K quality. It hasn't been remastered, but the originals seem to be pretty good. And this is considered a bonus film to the set. And I think it should have had a bit more prominence because I like this one, and I think that it's at least as good as Invasion of the Neptune Men or Golden Bat or Prince of Space. That then takes me to the fantasy films. We've got in this box set. There are three of them. There's Watari the Ninja Boy, which I haven't watched. Ninja Scope, which I've watched half of because it seems to be in television ratio and may well be a bunch of TV episodes put together. But it's a little bit of fun. And the best of them is a thing called Dragon Showdown, which is also known as the Magic Serpent. Now, I won't talk about Ninja Scope and Watari the Ninja Boy. They're very much weird anime kind of things. Ninja Scope, it looks like it was designed to be projected with some 3D inserts, because there are bits of that movie where the hero tells the audience to put on their glasses so they can see the 3D parts, and then those scenes are projected in this copy in black and white. Very weird. Dragon Showdown, also known as the Magic Serpent, is really bloody good. It's a nice fantasy adventure. A feudal lord is killed by one of his supporters who takes over as the local lord with the assistance of a magician who ultimately 20 years later is going to betray him. He kills the feudal lord, he kills his wife, but the young son escapes in a boat away from the castle, which is on the edge of a lake. And as the young boy escapes, the boat with the retainers who are looking after him gets attacked by a dragon that comes out of the water. And the dragon attacks the boat and kills everybody else, but the little boy who's clinging to the boat gets rescued by a giant eagle and carted away. All this happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie. Very cool. Special effects for the dragon are great. Special effects for the castle and every other bit of business is terrific. It's all in beautiful saturated colour. 20 years later, the boy decides to return and fulfill his legacy. He has been raised in the mountains by the same wizard who trained the wizard who helped the other guy take over his father's kingdom. The evil ninja wizard is called Ochimaru. He has incredible magic powers. He is ruthless. He is dangerous. He is not a nice person at all. And the young hero, whose name is Ikazuchi Maru, played by Matsukata Hiroki, is kind of like a Clark Kent Superman character almost. He's mastered the arts of ninjutsu. He's got toad magic and a scroll which can turn him into a magic giant flame-breathing toad when he needs to, which is always a good thing to have. And he's mastered Dogen Hiki, has taught him everything. While Ichikuchi Maru is moving down the mountain towards the castle, he meets a young girl called Tsunade, who he becomes friends with. Tsunade was raised by her grandmother, who is a spider witch, and gives her a special spider hat pin to use when she is in peril, but she can only use it once. What later comes out is that she is actually the daughter of the evil ninja Ochimaru, who abandoned her mother, and her mother died, and so Tsunade is raised by her grandmother, the spider witch. This is all very cool stuff. And so Tsunade and Ikazuchi Maru form a friendship. They go down the mountain. He rescues and is rescued by a farm family who hide him from the authorities who are looking for him. And the father of the farm family is killed. The daughter is kidnapped, and he helps the son get the daughter away from Orochimaru and the other bad guys, including the guy who took over the kingdom, whose name is Daijo Yuki. So there's all of this stuff. It's beautifully shot. There's really great location use in this, particularly in the mountains and also in the plains where the farmland is. Beautifully shot locations, really interesting special effects, some of which has some matte lines about it, some of which has some matte lines around various figures as they do magical things. But I don't care about that. I was totally on board for this story because it's totally exuberant. The one movie it reminded me of more than anything else is The Hidden Fortress, the Kurosawa movie that George Lucas stole a lot of Star Wars from. It's got that same vibe of a plucky female heroine, a plucky hero going up against the bad guys. It's got a lot of that vibe about it. Eventually, of course, they get to the castle, and there's a battle between Orochimaru and Izukuchi Maru, and Izukuchi Maru turns into the giant fire-breathing toad, whereas Ochimaru turns into the giant water-breathing dragon who shoots jets of water out. And they have this enormous kaiju battle in the castle. And of course, Tsunade, who is there, uses the magic spider hat pin to turn into a giant spider to help the hero destroy Ochimaru, and everything is well with the world again. The great thing about it, and I'm going to do a spoiler for this, but I think the spoiler is kind of salient, is that Kuchimaru doesn't take his kingdom back. He says the people can look after themselves, the people know what to do, the people have been here forever. I'm going to wander off now, and he and Tsunade go off into the sunset, not taking his kingdom back, because my theory is he's pretty much a socialist. But this one has an incredible vitality to it. The special effects are good. The model work is great. The guy in the toad suit does a good job. The giant dragon puppet does a fantastic job. It's got great music, terrific sense of location and time and place. The costumes are all on point. The locations and the sets and the Japanese villages we see are beautifully evoked. And there are things like the farmer has a great big cart full of daikon radishes that he's carrying around. So it looks like a magical tale of the time in the best possible way. It was released in cinemas in Japan. It was never released theatrically in the United States or anywhere else, but it was released in an 86-minute version. The version I've got is about 86 minutes on television in America. This is, for me, the surprise of this box set, this crazy fantasy adventure, which just goes totally nuts and finds a way to make the special effects of these extraordinary events happening really work. And I totally loved it. So even though this one was not cheap, I really loved classic Tokusatsu collection. It's Showa era, which is my favorite era of recent Japanese history. By recent, I mean the last 100 years. And it shows what Japanese children's television was and Japanese children's cinema was in the 50s and 60s. Just maybe because I grew up watching a lot of Tokusatsu. I mean, I watched Astro Boy, I watched Prince Planet, I watched Tobo the Eighth Man, I watched Phantom Agents, I watched The Samurai, the TV series from the 1960s, which was an incredibly viral phenomenon on Australian television. That stuff is part of my developmental media DNA. And so it was very easy for me to slip into that child mind again and just enjoy the child-oriented movies in this one, and then enjoy something like The Magic Serpent at a different level, and also the creepy body horror of Terror Beneath the Sea. And I know this is a cliche, but it was a journey. It was really a great couple of days me watching these things and just grooving on them and enjoying them. And if you are able to get this set, and you're interested in Japanese television and movies in particular, you're going to like the classic Tokusatsu collection from Childhood Studios. By the way, Childhood Studios, if you ever want to send me this stuff to review, I am up for it, 100%. I realise that there are limitations on selling it in certain markets, which is why I had to go through a very circuitous route to get a copy of this. But for me, it was totally worth it. So that's it for the story. I gave you some science fiction, I gave you some fantasy, I gave you some weirdness to find and enjoy. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Take a look at some of the other playlists, because there are a lot of groovy movie playlists on this channel. And there are a couple of hundred videos there of varying quality, because I wasn't always as adept as I am now at waffling about these movies. I'm quite proud of the playlists that I've got there, so please avail yourself of those. You can also support the channel by donating at the YouTube channel page. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/TerryTalksMovies. Got something cool planned for the Monday video, and then we get into the midweek video, and then of course we get back to Science Fiction Saturday or Science Fiction Friday if you're on the slow part of the planet. So until then, watch some good movies, watch some Tokusatsu movies, and I'll catch you next time.